Okay, we're going to start today with Simon Reish Samach Beis, Simon 262, which is in the laws of Shabbos, the short Simon in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, discussing the preparation of Shabbos that is done in the home, preparing the table and preparing clean clothes for Shabbos. Alter Rebbe has here 5 seifim on these halachas. Alter Rebbe starts off in the first sif, in Sif Aleph, that a person has to set his table, prepare his table from Friday for the night of Shabbos, and he should spread the beds that they sit on. Those days they used to sit on beds. When they used to eat, they used to recline on beds. So you should prepare those beds, and you should prepare all the matters of the house, that a person should find his house set and ready when he comes home from shul, and this is all part of the honor of Shabbos. So regarding the halachas that Alter Rebbe mentions here, there's obviously a number of points that poskim point out. First of all, although the Alter Rebbe says he only speaks about making the bed that you sit on, he does not speak about making the beds where you sleep on, but it's from the Alter Rebbe later on. It seems that Alter Rebbe holds that it is obviously also from the honor of Shabbos to make the beds that a person sleeps on. The whole house should be tidy and clean, not only the table that he's eating on. And so far that the Mishnah Bruder writes, it says that maybe it's even proper to put on tablecloths on the tables that are in the other rooms, even though a person is not eating there, but it gives a certain honor, a certain respect for Shabbos if even the other tables in his other rooms, his desk or whatever it is, have a tablecloth on them. One thing which is definitely accepted by Yidden is that we have in the shul, we put on white tablecloths on the table for Shabbos. We also have a covering for the shtender. So even those places that all week long don't have a tablecloth, but on Shabbos they put on a tablecloth. Obviously in some places they only have plastic, whatever it might be, based on the circumstances. The tablecloth will get dirty or ripped, whatever it might be, but there is an inyan to have, even in the shuls as well, to have a tablecloth for the honor of Shabbos. And as poskim point out, that the tablecloth, the minhag is that the tablecloth should be white. Another point is that besides covering the table at home, there's other things that, even not for the honor of Shabbos, but poskim write, if a person has a desk at home that has a computer or different electronical equipment, which he usually, does malachas, he works on during the week. So in order that he should have a heker, some type of recognizable thing to remind him that it's Shabbos and he shouldn't come to go on the, to by mistake go onto the computer, whatever it is, he should have some type of covering over these electronical equipments to remind him that it's Shabbos. I know that there are people, for example, that even the telephone, if they have a telephone, that they have a covering that says Shabbos Kodesh on it that they put on, which this is as a heker, as a remembrance that they shouldn't come to answer the telephone by mistake on Shabbos. And it's also, there's a certain, you don't want to have a telephone exposed in the open area on Shabbos, so you cover it over with something that you shouldn't have right in front of you on Shabbos, something which is not Shabbostic. Other people have, by the lights, they put some type of button cover on the lights. You shouldn't come to, by mistake, switch on and off the lights. But these are things that are not necessarily part of covered Shabbos, but covering your electronical equipment. I don't know if can't say it's a chiyuv, but it definitely is something, as a eitzah tov, a good advice that a person shouldn't come by mistake to be Mechal Shabbos, is to cover these things from before Shabbos. When do you put on the tablecloth? When do you set the table? So over here the Alter Rebbe writes it should be done before Shabbos. There are those that used to already set the table from Friday in the morning. There were even certain families that used to do it, that have a minhag that they do it Friday night. Thursday night. Some people say they shouldn't do it then because it's not recognizable that it's for the honor of Shabbos. But today, anyway, when you're setting the table Thursday night, whatever it is, you could tell you're putting on a special Shabbos tablecloth and so on. So one could say that it is recognizable that it's doing it for the honor of Shabbos, even though it's Thursday night. But obviously, each person goes by his nada of pashte. Each person goes by his family's custom. Certain people that they have minig, that they set the table already Thursday night, obviously they shouldn't change their minig. Now the Rebbe continues in Sif Aleph. Now the Rebbe says that those that have two tablecloths on the table, in order that when he's going to take off the besides the one that you put on you have a challah covering, you have a challah decal, you have a covering, you put on the challah, but you have underneath that you have two coverings. And the reason is because when they take off, when you're shaking the tablecloth to get off the crumbs, so for that few minutes the table is uncovered. So therefore they would have two tablecloths on top of the table, so that when they would clean the upper tablecloth and to take off the crumbs, the table still remained covered with the underneath tablecloth. Today people use plastic, and they just pick off the plastic and that takes off the crumbs with it. So they don't obviously, I guess, that would take the place of the second tablecloth. But from here we see that there's a kpeda, that we're very careful that even for a little bit amount of time, the table should not remain uncovered from the tablecloth on Shabbos. Until when does the tablecloth have to remain on the table? So obviously it has to remain during Shabbos. There were those that were medayik to take off the tablecloth right after Shabbos came out. And even though from Malava Malka, the Shulchan Aruch says that one should set his table, they would again put on the tablecloth from Malava Malka. But in order to show that the tablecloth was on specifically for the honor of Shabbos, they would take off the tablecloth right after Shabbos. However, there were those that used to keep the tablecloth on until Sunday morning, and again, each person, nada pashta, each person according to his minig. We'll soon speak about regarding the clothes of Shabbos, when to take them off. There's also different minhagim in this, but again, each person should do based on his minig, and so forth. In Sif Beis, the Alter Rebbe says a halacha that it's good to clean the house from the spider webs from before Shabbos in order to clean the house l'chavet Shabbos. I guess one of the noticeable things that were in those days that were something that was the opposite of cleanliness in the house, that were things that weren't suitable, were the spider webs. I don't know if today, it depends obviously where you're living, if it's common to have spider webs, but I assume in Europe it was much more common to have spider webs all over the house. So there was an Indian, Alter Rebbe writes in Shulchan Aruch that it's good, it's no chiyuv, but it's good to clean the spider webs from the house out of Shabbos in the honor of Shabbos. To do it on Shabbos would be a problem. There's a problem to do it on Shabbos for a number of reasons. So they have to do it obviously from before Shabbos. Besides the fact that, as we see here, that the honor of Shabbos is not to have the table set, to set the table on Shabbos, but the honor of Shabbos is to prepare everything from before Shabbos. The honor of Shabbos is that when Shabbos comes in, the house is clean and tidy. So obviously you should clean off. If somebody has spider webs, wants to clean it, he has to do it before Shabbos. Do it on Shabbos itself, you're running into problems of muktzah and seiser and other problems. The Alter Rebbe says another thing, that it's good to be careful by the meal that's done by night, that you should not throw things on the floor if you're not going to sweep them up. This whole discussion, the Rebbe goes into Kuntres Achrin, the whole discussion whether it's permissible to sweep floors on Shabbos. If you're sweeping a floor that's not paved, that doesn't have a floor like we have today, just have a dirt floor, you have a number, there's problems that you could run into. That's also to do on Shabbos. And these days where we live in places that all houses that we live in have a floor, built-in floor on top of the ground, so we're lenient, to sweep the floors on Shabbos. But even then, you're not supposed to use a broom that's made, at least the old brooms were made of straw, of sticks that could break as you were sweeping, which then you're not allowed to use it because you're breaking a vessel on Shabbos. So at any rate, the Alter Rebbe is talking about, the Alter Rebbe explains in the Kut Sacher, and you can't say that it's an issue, you can't say it's prohibition, but it's a zehirus. It's good to be careful not to make a mess on the floor if you're not going to sweep. In those days, again, it was different, there was certainly, even if you had a good broom, but because a lot of the floors in the town were just dirt floors, weren't allowed to sweep. Even if there's no problem with that, there sometimes could be a problem with the broom. So therefore you shouldn't make a mess. These days, since most places that you're living, unless a person is living, in wherever it is, in places that are not so developed, but in most countries that we're living in today, we don't have this problem, and the brooms that are common today are soft, are not made of straw or things that break when you sweep. So brooms today usually are permissible, most brooms at least. But at least one thing we see from this halach is that if there's a mess that's created from the eating Friday night, a person should clean it up. Again, can't say it's a chiyuv, but a person has covered Shabbos to sweep up the floor, that it should be cleaned for Shabbos day, after the Friday night meal. The same thing is, Alter Rebbe writes, by Friday Shabbos in the morning, if a person's not going to sweep up the floor, he shouldn't make a mess. Throughout the whole Shabbos, you want the house to be clean. So if there's a mess that comes Friday night, you should try to sweep it up, if possible, right away. And so too, Shabbos in the morning. Also, there are those that say that obviously you should prepare, those that say that the whole table should be set, with all the cutlery and everything from before Shabbos. When it says in Shulchan Aruch here that the table should be set, it includes it should be set, everything should be on the table. Obviously we have, besides setting up the table for Shabbos, we have chalas on the table, we have before lichtbenching, particularly if you have the candles on the table. You want that the table should be a basis l'davar hamuta. You want that besides having a muksa thing on the table, you should also have non-muksa things on the table, whatever it might be. There's different details in that. But in general, you should have, the subject at hand over here is to prepare for Shabbos, the honor of Shabbos. So you should have the table set, and obviously whatever is capable, what a person's capable of doing, but obviously if he has it, if it's possible, you should have the table set with everything from before Shabbos comes in. You should make sure he has enough light in the house and so on for Shabbos. And the simple way of understanding this, as we'll soon see, is when you're greeting a guest, so you prepare ahead of time that when he walks in, everything should be set, and the table should be set from everything should be ready. And that's the way one should do for Shabbos. He should have everything ready like he's greeting a guest. The Alter Rebbe goes further on in Siv Gimel. The Alter Rebbe says a person has to try that he should have clean clothes for Shabbos. This is already a chiyuv, an obligation. That a person has to try, based on his capability, that he should have clean clothes for Shabbos. Because you have to honor Shabbos with a ksus nekiyah, with a clean clothes. Like it's explained earlier, we mentioned in the beginning, Simon Reish Mem Beis. And then there's a pasuk in the Nevi'im that speaks about Shabbos. It says, that you should honor Shabbos from doing your regular things, so you're doing things that, your drachim, your regular paths, things that you do. And the Chachamim interpreted the word v'chibadata, you should honor Shabbos, that this means that your Shabbos clothes should not be the same as your weekday clothes, which means that you should have different clothes for Shabbos. And not only that, the Alter Rebbe adds in parentheses that the Shabbos clothes should be nicer than the weekday clothes. For example, by Minik Chabad is that we wear a kapota on Shabbos, which is made out of silk. It's the whole Indian why we dafka make you wear silk, but you should. But according to the Arizal, was Indian to wear big day love and white clothes on Shabbos. What by minig Chabad these days is we wear, a choshev beged elyin, a choshev kapota made out of silk, whatever it is for Shabbos. What is the connection between honoring Shabbos for chibadat and that your Shabbos clothes should not be the same as your weekday clothes? So the Chachamim explain because clothes is called kavod, it's called honor, because a person that wears clothes, the clothes honor him. If a person, for example, goes to a place and nobody recognizes him and he's wearing a honorable suit, so then people honor him. So therefore, honoring Shabbos means that you should wear clothes that refers to clothes which honor a person, which give a certain honor to him, and obviously if you want to honor the day, you wear chashuv clothes. If he does not able to change his clothes, the Alter Rebbe says at least he should, in those days they used to wear, the Alter Rebbe explains that rich people used to let their clothes hang down. They used to wear robes or whatever it is, or longer jackets, but during the week, when people that would work, they would fold up their clothes, because since they're busy working, they don't want it to drag on the floor. But rich people that would sit at home will let their clothes, be long and hang down. So if a person on Shabbos, at least he should let his clothes hang down further down, that it should look long. And that's, even if he doesn't have special clothes for Shabbos, but at least he's wearing clothes in the manner of rich people that sit at home and they don't need to, fold their clothes that it shouldn't hit the ground. And this is also part of the honor of Shabbos. And whoever is possible, he should also have another talis. This is also a bit of a mocker for the inyan of having a kapota, which is for those that wear short jackets on Shabbos during the week. But this is an inyan, the kapota should be long. There's inyan of chashivus that you have wearing long clothes. The Alter Rebbe goes further, and the Alter Rebbe says that there's anshi ma'isa, people of action, that are careful not to wear on Shabbos anything that they wore during the week. Even a belt and pants and a shirt. So they're careful that everything on Shabbos should be different. Now in this, there's a number of details that poskim point out. And they say that mitzad hadin, a person should have the clothes that a person needs to have specifically for Shabbos. He should have, obviously from the Alter Rebbe it seems that having the clothes clean is the main point here. The fact he should have nicer clothes than Shabbos done during the week, the Alter Rebbe puts in parentheses, which obviously means that we in today's day and age, it's a common thing. It's not so hard to have special Shabbos suit. But the Alter Rebbe put something in parentheses. It means that it wasn't. Alter Rebbe still had to reconsider exactly, well, he put it in parentheses. He still had a bit of a suffix on it. But the fact that the clothes have to be clean, this is something which is clear cut. So, person obviously has to make sure Shabbos clothes are clean. Doesn't mean that he has to wash them out every week, but his suit, the suit doesn't have to put in the dry cleaners, whatever it is, every single week. But at least he should make sure that they should be clean however once in a while that it becomes dirty, starts becoming dirty, you should make sure it's clean for the next Shabbos. And obviously, that's what I mentioned before, that you should have this clothes that a person should have designated for Shabbos is more his, the clothes that he wears, like his suit, upper clothes, and his hat, and so on. Or a talus, that Alter Rebbe writes, if somebody possibly should have a talus, special talus in Shabbos, also something that is more noticeable. However, the other clothes, like his shirt and his undergarments and his pants and so on, so as we see the mi'ikar hadin, you don't have to have any of them special for Shabbos, but at least they should be, presentable. That should be clean and so on. And so too with shoes, in Ikar Adin, there's no chiyuv to have separate shoes for Shabbos, but a person should at least, so brought down, does it mean to polish, you should polish your shoes for Shabbos. However, mitzad the minik hatoiv the anshe ma'isa, they would have they would all clothes. Some people had a special yarmulke for Shabbos, a special talis cotton, and so on, and the pants. And some people had special shoes for Shabbos. A lot of people today have this thing, special Shabbos shoes. But obviously, the undergarments, there was something that we don't find that anybody had special of them for Shabbos. Just make sure that they were clean. So now the Rebbe writes that a person should have godim noim, nice clothes for Shabbos, as much as possible. So first of all, it means it has to be clean, and also that it should be nicer than the weekday clothes. It should be different and nicer and so on, at least more representable than it. But this refers to the clothes that you wear that is recognizable, that your jacket, your hat, and so on. The other clothes, Mikar Hadin, there's no chiyuv that you have to have special ones for Shabbos, but at least that they should be clean. But there were those that made sure to have everything they would wear, and they didn't wear on Shabbos anything that they wore during the week. Besides, obviously, it seems that undergarments or something like this is something that you just make you wash it out before. Even if a person is at home, he's not at home, he's in Hicktown somewhere, and there's no other Jewish people around, he obviously still should wear honorable Shabbos clothes, because he's not wearing it for himself. Not wearing it for other people, that other people should see him wearing honorable clothes on Shabbos, but he's doing it l'chavet Shabbos, so therefore it makes no difference where he is. If possible, women, before they light candles, obviously sometimes they're running late and they have to finish off last minute things, but the poskim bring that based on this, you should honor Shabbos with clean clothes. You should, if possible, women should also already have their Shabbos clothes on before they ben shlicht. Obviously, in some cases, particularly in the short Fridays, it's better to light licht on time than to worry about this. But this is something that obviously, if possible, should be done. Further, another point based on this is that the Rebbe writes that a person is good to go in some clothes of Shabbos the whole day until after Havdalah Motzei Shabbos, which means that even, I guess, if he's at home and he's not wearing his jacket, whatever it is, but he should wear some of the clothes that are special for Shabbos the whole day until after Havdalah Motzei Shabbos. Now, there were those that were makpid that on Shabbos they would go the whole day with a kapota, that they would wear their upper garment on Shabbos, which from the Rebbe is clearly mashma that there's no chiyuv on this at all, and so on. But they were l'chavet Shabbos, they would wear the whole day a kapota. Particularly during the meal, they were very careful to sit with their hat and their kapota on, their Shabbos jacket on, particularly during the meal, even those that weren't careful in wearing it the whole Shabbos. And there's a famous story at the Arizal and the Rebbe Yisrael Nagaru, one of his Talmidim, that used to sing Zmiris. He made certain Zmiris, Karib and Olam, and so on. And once he was very used to sing outside, it was very hot, and he took off his upper jacket, and the Arizal said that the Malachim went away. The Malachim used to come to hear the Zmiris. They went away when he took that off because it wasn't honorable for Shabbos. So based on this, so it's Indian that people are careful, particularly during the Shabbos table, to wear their Shabbos kapota, Shabbos jacket, even though again it's not a chiyuv. When do you take off the Shabbos clothes? Al Rebbe writes to take it off, you should wear it at least until after Havdalah. There were those that were careful to take it off right after Havdalah, since there's an Indian, partially because there's an Indian that during the week you shouldn't have on the Shabbos clothes. So therefore, one Shabbos went out right after Havdalah. They wanted these clothes to be specially designated for Shabbos, so they didn't want to keep it on any longer. On the other hand, many people used to, it's based on the Arizal and others, that they would keep the clothes on, based on the Arizal, that they would keep their clothes on until after Melava Malka, because since until Melava Malka there's still a Nefesh Yisera, there's still the extra neshama that comes still stays with the person until then. And you want to also Melava Malka, you want to escort the Shabbos with honor with nice clothes. So they used to wear it until after Melava Malka. The other hand, the way common custom is by people that they wear the Shabbos clothes, Motzei Shabbos, even after Melava Malka until they go to sleep. I think they say the Rebbe also was that way. He didn't take it off Motzei Shabbos. At any rate, obviously, particularly if you're reading Melava Malka late and so on, and particularly those that don't do any Malacha Motzei Shabbos, certain Malachas at least, they don't do Motzei Shabbos. So they're still mamshech to Kedusha Shabbos, particularly until Chatzos Motzei Shabbos. I guess maybe that's part of the reason why we're not makbid to take off our Shabbos clothes right after Havdalah, right after Melava Malka, because there's still still Motzei Shabbos. You don't say Tachnun until Chatzos and so on. So there's still some type of connection to Shabbos still left. The Alter Rebbe goes on in Sif Daled. The Alter Rebbe says they should put on nice clothes. And you should be happy with the coming of Shabbos, the onset of Shabbos, like somebody that's going to greet a king and somebody that's going to greet a chassan and kala. The same way there were the great chachamim used to put on nice clothes, wrap themselves in nice clothes, and they used to say, let's go to greet the Shabbos queen. And they would say, boyichala, come kala. In certain places, the minhag is they go out from the shul to the courtyard and they say Boyi Kala, they greet the Shabbos. The Shabbos is called Kala, a bride, and like the whole L'chadodi Likras Kala, the whole Pizmin, the whole famous thing that we say L'chadodi Likras Kala is based on this thing, and at the end we say Boyi Kala. And some people would even go out to the fields based on Darizal. Our minhag is that we don't go outside of the shul, we just turn to Maidav, turn to the west. And when we say Bayichala, we say at the end, we say 3 times Bayichala. When we say Bayichala the first time, we tilt our heads to the right, the second time to the left. The third time, we say it quietly, Bayichala, quietly facing Mizrach, facing the east. And then we turn back. So this is based on the idea of going to greet the Shabbos. So although we're not physically going out, but we turn around as if we're, turning around to greet somebody that's coming. Alter Rebbe says in Sif Hey, the last Sif over here, that it's good to put on the clothes of Shabbos right after a person washes himself for the honor of Shabbos. Therefore, it's good that a person should wash himself towards, close to Shabbos and put on the Shabbos clothes right away, in order that he should wear them put them on right before Shabbos comes up, before Shabbos, close to the onset of Shabbos, and it'll be recognizable that he's putting them on for the honor of Shabbos. So, obviously, a person, even though it says you should bathe close to Shabbos, you have to be careful not to bathe too late and take a shower too late and so on. Particularly as people that go to a mikveh, whatever it is, obviously they should go early enough that they shouldn't run into any problems. And that obviously, not avoiding Hilchos Shabbos is more important. Those that go to the mikveh and they're going earlier, but the Ksei Shulchan already writes that they change their undergarments in the mikveh, they already put on their undergarments, clean undergarments for Shabbos. He says that that's the Iker Kpeda, the main thing that we're worried about that we say that a person should it's good to put on clothes of Shabbos right before Shabbos, is regarding the upper garments, which are recognizable that they're for Shabbos. But like the pants and the shirt and those things, you could put them on, if you're taking an earlier shower, you could put them on earlier. Obviously, it still seems that a person shouldn't put them on too early, you should put them on after within some time to Shabbos, some recognizable time to Shabbos. It says, let's say somebody is traveling and, Shabbos Friday morning and it's too hard for him to take, his Shabbos suit separately, so he could put on his Shabbos suit already before, and so on. There's another halacha that Alter Rebbe says later on, that another point besides wearing special clothes for Shabbos, honorable clothes for Shabbos as an honor for Shabbos, is also that Alter Rebbe writes as an inyan through wearing the clothes for Shabbos, it reminds a person that it's Shabbos. So like this, he won't come by mistake to do a malacha by wearing special clothes for Shabbos, so he won't come to be mechalel Shabbos. The Rebbe says a person should not go out in the street on Shabbos. This is in Simon Shinal of Sif Yudal. The person is good for a person to be careful not to go out on Shabbos the way he goes out on the weekday, without any clothes, any garment or something that through that he'll remember that today is Shabbos. So he should have something on, whatever it might be, some special ornament or garment that he's obviously allowed to wear outside to remind him that it's Shabbos, that he shouldn't come to be Mechalel Shabbos. And one example that's given is that, let's say in certain places that people walk barefoot during the week, on Shabbos a person should wear shoes. Through that he'll remember it's Shabbos. So therefore, wearing Shabbos clothes, besides the mitzvah in of itself to honor Shabbos, is also, there's an inyan to, even if you're not, whatever it is, a person is walking without his jacket and his hat, whatever it is, but he should obviously be walking, you keep on clothes that remind him that it's Shabbos. Besides the honor of Shabbos, but also through that he should remember it's Shabbos, he won't come to be Mechalel Shabbos. There are those that even say, even though I've never seen this done, that it might be even good if a person has special pajamas for Shabbos, and so on. Particularly during the night, it's more shaykh for a person to forget that it's Shabbos, so he should have special pajamas for Shabbos, so that he remembers it's Shabbos. At any rate, we should be zeicha to the Yom Shekolei Shabbos, and we're going to kaim all these things. B'roivam hadras melech b'beis hamikdash hashlishi take off miyad mamash.